Hi, everyone. Ivana Taylor here, and I want to welcome you to the Monday edition of Bizapalooza Chat. And today we are talking about such a popular topic. And if you're interested in brains and how brains work, then you definitely want to hang on for this short video. So let me begin by saying that our brains are super powerful machines and that often work behind the scenes, managing everything from our biological functions to sophisticated connections with others. So on today's show, I'm not doing a long intro. We're talking about neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, with NLP master Zala Brichel, who's going to share some simple techniques for training our brain using NLP. Zala, I am so excited. Welcome to Bizapalooza Chat.
Thank you, Ivana. I'm so excited to be back. It's my second time on Bizapalooza Chat, and I'm ready to start today's talk.
That's fantastic. So, for folks who aren't exactly sure, let's talk a little bit about what neuro-linguistic programming is. Can you maybe define it in some simple terms for us?
Yeah, no problem. I get this question a lot. People first say, NLP, what? Is that UFOs or something or what? And basically it sounds sophisticated, but it's been with us for a couple of decades. And, to put it in the most simplest terms, it's a communication model, and it's also tactics and approaches and skills for self-improvement or self-growth. So basically, it helps you to define your, let's say, hidden superpowers, I call them, or let's say hidden patterns or unknown blind spots or something that holds you back, let's say in your life or in your business. And it helps you rewire your patterns and also rewire your brain or your thought patterns. So you're able to be either more successful or change the way you think about things, or also function in your daily life and business.
That's fantastic. So at least the way I've understood it, that there are three primary ways that all human beings communicate. Maybe we can talk about some of those three. The ones I'm thinking about is that humans are either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, or sensory, maybe to use a simpler word. So let's talk a little bit about those three.
Yeah. First of all, what is really important in NLP is that each one of us has like a map of the world that is very unique to each one of us. So my map of the world, how I perceive it, what my values and patterns and behaviors are, is different to yours. So, so I'm freezing here. Okay. Am I freezing or can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
Okay, I can hear you, but I can't, I see myself freezing.
Hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try this again.
Okay.
We are still streaming live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is your camera off?
No. I'm just freezing and I don't know why. That's not okay. But I don't know, perhaps if you can hear me, maybe, do you want me to get out and get in again?
Yeah, go ahead and try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome fun technology on a super fun topic like this. And I really like what Zala was saying about how these ways of looking at the world, and she's back.
Hey, back.
Okay, so I really liked what you were saying earlier about how we are mapped to look at the world a certain way. So take off from there.
Thank you. So this is the power of technology. You know, sometimes we're here, sometimes we're not here. So we'll have to deal with that. So basically, each map that everyone has about the world, so how our perceptions are, how we, you know, view everyday behavior and activities and what we do is unique to each one of us, so to every individual. And basically, NLP techniques and ways to, you know, identify and understand the map of other people is basically one of the principles how you can better understand what triggers other people, what are the values behind their behavior, and what are perhaps like generalized beliefs that somebody still has, or, you know, experiences that drives their behavior and drives their, you know, maybe reactions that might be a bit difficult for you to understand, but, you know, through studying the map and understanding how people perceive and process the world around them, it's much easier. And as you mentioned, we all process in a different way. So processing kind of refers to, you know, how I better understand the surrounding and the people around me. So, for example, the people who are more visual, so who process the world visually, will say, will learn about things, will be able to educate themselves about themselves and other people through, you know, visual representation. That means like colors, you know, how something is, how colorful, bright, dark, contrasts. They, you know, mind maps will sound really familiar and interesting, and that is the way how they process their world around them. So when we, for example, talk to them, we will hear this process word. So in what way they're perceiving the world around them. So if somebody says, you know, I went to a beautiful island, you know, the roses were totally green and red, and, you know, the nature was really colorful and bright, and the sunrise was so bright and beautiful, we will see that, you know, their main processing you know, main processing channel is visual. So if somebody is really auditive, so, you know, that they perceive the world through their hearing apparatus, it will be more about, you know, the sounds, it will be more about the rhythm. So I went to a club, you know, the music was so loud, you know, the music had such a beat, you know, I heard people talking and the woman was, you know, laughing there. So we know that they process, you know, the sounds that they hear, and they will remember, you know, they will remember a lot about a conversation, about words, and, you know, they will remember, learn and process through words. If you're kinesthetic, that means you have to, you know, experience things. You will hear people say, it felt so good. The feeling of the water on my legs was so warm and soothing. So those are, you know, the people that will process the world around them and experiences that they get through, you know, feeling or how something tastes or how it made them feel. So you will be able to, you know, understand, aha, okay, they have to experience something. And here's a funny, you know, anecdote from my own life. I was really terrible at chemistry. I couldn't understand the formulas. They meant nothing to me because I'm, you know, kinesthetic. I process, you know, through, I have to understand, I have to experience and everything. And, you know, when I looked at that formulas, it meant nothing. And, you know, once the learning curve changed and somebody says, Zala, you take, you know, a strand of hair, you approach it to fire, and then you add liquid, and then you get this. I was like, kaboom, wow, eureka, I understand now, because I actually understood what they were talking about. So this is, the magic, the charm that, also NLP can give you.
I think that that's fantastic. And I think that given everything you've said, I've heard a lot of people say, and I have to say, I've had the thought myself, what's the, people talk about using NLP, whether it's in your marketing or in your daily life, as being manipulative, because then once you know, then you're like manipulating people. What do you have to say about that?
Well, a lot of times people will ask me, Zala, are you wearing the coach hat or are you wearing the friend hat or the I don't know what hat? And I always tell them, the real power of NLP is not to, study people and, learn about their, advantages and disadvantages and then use it for you to, get ahead or get ahead of the competition or, to work with the persuasive skills that I find NLP, and that is what I also do with my clients and the people I work with. All the skills that NLP can give you are great for getting to know people, to understand how wired their brain is, to understand why they react in a certain way in certain circumstances, how they experience themselves, and the teams and organizations where they work in. And I think it's really great to empathize. It's a great tool to help you empathize with others, also with yourself. Don't forget that, to empathize with yourself, others, and in sales and marketing, also empathize with your audience. It's not about, using the correct words to just sell something, but really understand what triggers, the pain points, or what triggers the motives and behaviors of your audience. Because in that way, you'll be much better qualified to serve them, because you will understand in a way what are the triggers, what are the values and patterns that drive their behavior towards you, your products and services, and your solutions or your add value will be much more valuable, because you will actually know what you're talking about, first of all, and you will actually know exactly what they need and what they want.
Exactly. And I think that I was going to, as you were saying that, one of the things that I've experienced as I've practiced my NLP is that when you, let's say I'm a visual person, and what did you say? You were kinesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to shift my language just a little bit, what my experience has been that when I do that, it's like my thinking changes. So I do see that with you, this idea of being able to empathize with them, because in shifting my thinking to what that experience would be like, it's as if my chemistry changes. Does that really happen?
Well, yes, it definitely happens. And also for us coaches, it's really important to understand what type of a person, let's say a client or somebody you work with is, because in that way you can adapt all the techniques that there are and all the approaches. Because, if I speak in Swedish and you understand only Chinese, we won't be able to nor communicate nor understand each other, even less achieve a goal that you would like to achieve, or move towards a goal that you would like to achieve. And a lot of times it's like we are, I always say we're part of the nature and nurture. So one of the things also, you know, how wired our brain is nature. So a lot of it is biological, and a lot of it is from the, you know, early beginnings that we get, and early experiences that we get. On top of it, it's nurture. So it's, you know, the surroundings, it is where we live, how we're raised, and the experiences we get. And a lot of times it's that early upbringing and early patterns that we get and we experience that just kind of, you know, stick with us and, you know, go with us. It can be a sentence, you know, it can be a generalized belief like, you know, all the women are stupid, or, you know, all the men are pigs, or, you know, I will never be good at math, or, you know, I will never be able to sing because somebody said that to me. And when we, you know, when we became really aware of what are the patterns, or, you know, what are the small things in how we think and how our brains are wired, when we become aware of that, and we find ways of how to correct that. It's not that something is wrong, something is just holding us back, but when we find ways of correcting that, it can be, you know, it can really be life-changing. And don't forget, it stems from you. It's not, you know, I don't hold a magic stick, I don't find the secret pill, I don't find a secret superpower to give you, but it's something that you realize inside yourself, and something that you can change inside yourself to change your future actions, your future behaviors.
Well, that's the perfect lead in to the final question I have for you before we jump into the chat. Let's talk about how small business owners can sort of train themselves. What are some simple techniques that they can do every single day to kind of maybe become a little better at NLP and connecting with others in different communication styles?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think first of all, this is a great communication tool or communication approach to use when you are connecting with your existing, or, you know, with your future audience, or with anybody that you meet. It's a great mixture of listening. You know, we always talk about how deep listening is so important. So listen to what they're saying, listen to what they're not saying, listen to the intent behind and the sentiment. Are they saying something in a positive way? Are they using words like, you know, always, never, you know, like those definite words? Because I always say always, always, really, always, every time that you've done this, I'm not really sure. There must have been times that when something was different, or when you experienced something different. And, you know, really just apply this, you know, simple listening techniques that can tell you so much about how people perceive the world, how they process the world, and what matters to them. You know, building up on this, because a lot of small businesses or small entrepreneurs, they are, you know, they're working with a lot of different clients. And, you know, also NLP techniques are a great way of building rapport. So building rapport, getting, you know, really to a deeper level of, you know, understanding each and every one of your clients and how to serve them better. So, you know, watch them and listen to them, how they function in every day when they're under stress, you know, and especially when you're talking about scope of work and what you want to do. That's really important. It's really important to understand, what is it, what I'm saying, the same as what they're hearing, because a lot of times, you know, there is this, there is this this clash in understanding. So I think I'm saying something and it makes total sense. And on the other side, my clients, my agencies, or my social media managers or community managers are not getting the same, understanding or the same meaning. So, building rapport, listening, and being aware that we all understand one thing the same is really crucial. I think, especially in these days of a lot of online communication going forth and back, and it's not only in real life communication and situations. And lastly, and not, also not so uncommon anymore. I think that NLP is great within smaller or larger teams to identify, like bigger goals or bigger values that can connect very different individuals or very different types of individuals. When we're able to, use the different techniques to take a step back and see, okay, what is in best interest of everyone or of the entire organization, not just you and me and the boss and my colleague, but what is something that aligns us on a higher level and is acceptable for each and every one of us on the higher level. That is a great way of building company culture, company values that we can all align to. Because, having a value that means an entirely different thing to everybody, and we're not aligned about what it means for the whole organization, is a value that will not last long, and people won't be able to identify with it.
So one last question for you. How did you first get interested in neuro-linguistic programming?
It is my curiosity. I was always curious, and during my studies, I studied also anthropology, and that's how I heard of Virginia Satir and a lot of other, a lot of other NLPers who were not basically just NLPers, but they were also psychotherapists and were doing also other techniques, and I became really interested, and I found a great teacher, I found a great trainer, and I said, this is the time, and this is the place, and I decided to just jump in it, and I'm forever grateful because it has changed my life. It is changing my life every day, and it's helped me tremendously in my work with
Give me one story where you used NLP.
This is a secret, but I use it every day. Part of my work is also doing workshops for all age groups on the topics of internet security, privacy, and responsible use of internet and social media. And basically, the way I use NLP, and nobody actually, only those who know it knows, but every workshop or every presentation or lecture is unique for me because I come 15 minutes earlier. I scan, the group, I scan the people, I get the vibes, and from that on, I kind of a structure, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, how people react to something, even what videos I will use. I have the same message, but my execution is every time different because it's the feedback and the processing of the world and the knowledge that I'm about to transfer needs to be adapted to them, not to me, and that's how I use it every day.
Well, that's awesome. So that's all the time we have for today. We're all heading over to Twitter, #BizapaloozaChat, where there are more questions, more answers. Zala's here with us. If you've got an NLP question, make sure you reach out and ask. Catch us over on Twitter, #BizapaloozaChat. I'll see you on Twitter, Zala.
See you. Bye.
Bye.